Okay, the meeting will now come to order. We'll begin with introduction of members and seating of alternates. And we'll begin with town staff.
Hi, Dawn Guy, recording secretary.
And Dan is under the weather tonight. He will not be with us, but we wish him well. This is Bob Ellsworth speaking.
Chantel Foster.
Carolyn Freeman.
Robert Taylor.
And do we have any alternates online? Let's check in. Okay, well, we have a quorum, then we will not seat any alternates. So first item of business is to accept the revised agenda. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the agenda is accepted as presented. First item will be public hearing. And we have two tonight, and the first is application 22-06, which is Penfield Hill Road and Stephen Tom Road, a re-subdivision. So this public hearing remains open from our meeting 2 meetings ago, and we will cover that one at our next meeting on December 15th. So no action or activity tonight. Next public hearing will be for application 22-10, 311 Brownstone Avenue, request for a special permit modification to change approved storage building to public bathrooms and welcome center with small studio living unit. New pump out station to be installed on site to allow for full service campground from current use of semi-primitive. Application and property of Dean and Darlene Susi, map 28, lot 54, zone B3/Riverfront Overlay Zone. May I have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
So moved.
And a second?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, public hearing for application 22-10 is now open. Would someone like to speak on behalf of this application? If you would, approach the podium and identify yourself, please.
Thank you. I'm Dean Susi, co-owner, and it's Darlene Rice would be the other owner. Okay, so I guess what we're trying to do, or for starters, is the building that we pulled a permit for last year for a storage building. At this present time, we want to add living quarters to it. We had a permit approved before for a building further back into the property. We had thought about moving there at one time, but anyway, we had it approved. Since we looked at the property later on, we found that there was some areas there that were historically, we want to preserve them. So the building being so close to that area, you know, we didn't want to ruin it. So we never pursued it. The corner that the storage building is in now was always a spot that we were trying in the past. We had it on our plans for possibly renting it out, or we were looking for somebody who would purchase or lease the property for a building, but it never happened. So recently, when we had the filming from the Stephen King thing, we generated some funds, and we decided that we would use that corner and build a storage building. Now our decision is to call it a welcome center, be able to put some of our artifacts in there, the tools and everything that we keep trying to preserve, and at the same time we're considering moving there, so we're building a small spot where we could stay for the summer. Right now with the campground, the way it's operated, anytime we have people on site, we the agreement that we had with the town is that we would be there to oversee anything that's going on to make sure that we don't have any issues. Mostly part of it is because of the historic value. We talked about in the past, you know, having parking and camping and overlapping and stuff like that. And by us being there, we're always supervising what's going on. And so far, I think everything's been working fine as far as everybody noticed. I did go over my paperwork, and it shows that in the last meeting, or the last approval, we were actually approved for a full-pledged campground, and it says in it on line 7, it said it was for 48 tent camping and recreational vehicle camping parties. the discussion that happened at that time, there was a big discussion about the parking spaces. And so what we did was, it's not supposed to be just a campground, it's supposed to be an historic area. The camping was just something so we can allow people to stay overnight. So what would happen, I think there's a line here that says that what we were gonna do, the two activities, this was on the narrative for the last time we were here, the two activities would be co-located on the same property, both utilizing the unique features. The goal here is to allow short-term overnight stays with tour packages and hands-on historic experience. So if there was an event going on that was taking up the park, there would be no camping. Because it says here that we, further down, says the caretakers, because it's a gated site, and because it's a gated site, we control the traffic coming in and out. It's not like free-flowing, it's open, so it's just anybody driving in. We gate it, we close the gates. So what happens here is that it said that the camping would only be allowed when parking is not being needed for other events. So basically, the issue for parking and camping should be a non-issue. Basically, if we have camping, we don't have an event. So we were basically approved for 48 sites, but because of that 48, I would be required to have 4 bathrooms, public bathrooms. So I'm reducing it, I'm asking to reduce it to 24, because we don't bring in that many people. We really kind of keep it quiet. And so the number 24 will put us at 2 bathrooms. And so all I'm doing is, by doing that, that'll allow me to go to the health department and say, okay, we're putting 2 bathrooms in. We meet the requirement because we're only a 24 or 25 and under campground. So that's what we're trying to do there. The requirement for the pump out station and everything like that, that's not really a zoning issue, that's a health department issue. So all of that stuff, really in this meeting, all I need to do is change the number from 48 to 24. And that way there, when I go to apply, I'm not putting on the paperwork that I'm 48 sites. The positioning of the sites being 500 feet away or whatever, right now with semi-primitive, there's no designated sites allowed. You can't have sites posted. What we want to do is, in your zoning regs, they talk about that you cannot use the parking spaces for campsites. But we're not going to build campsites to accommodate RVs. They will be parking in the space that is already, that can accommodate vehicles. So in other words, we don't want to start making the place look like a construction site and have all kinds of extra parking spots just for RVs, thinking that we're going to have them. If we have RVs, we have no cars. If we have cars, we have no RVs. So we're really using the same property. And on the my narrative, what I asked for, that we asked that we waive anything to maintain the appearance of the historic park. Basically, it's no secret that we love the place. You see what we do there. We just don't want to change it. The only change that we do is to try to keep cleaning it, and now we're in the process of planting some trees, getting some green to come back in instead of the garbage that was there, and get the grass to grow back in areas and let the wildlife take over, which it is. So we really, camping is not a business per se. It's really just an addition to what we have to do it legally. I think that covers all I was asking for. So the bathrooms that are in the building, I put it in like it's for the campground, but it's actually public bathrooms there. The building's there, so we're able to put public bathrooms. It's not going to be just for the campers. It'll be for people that are visiting as well.
So this is really small, you know, for us to look at.
Correct.
So.
I have a plot plan, a larger one, and you guys should have had one originally.
Oh. I don't- Did I get it?
This right here, and this,
Yeah, where did you get that?
it was in the packet.
Yeah, it's in the packet or something.
I didn't get it.
Here's that. I got the digital one.
I don't think I have it.
Just use that one, or use this one.
Oh, okay, so I was trying to figure out where everything was, and I had a magnifying glass, I was trying to look at that one. Okay. Well, I think the big thing that I noticed, that when we got our feedback back from the, engineer, was, and if you look at the regulations, they say that a dwelling, one-unit apartment occupied by the owner, manager, caretaker, or janitor of the permitted business use is not allowed in a B3 zone.
That's if it was a caretaker, correct?
It says occupied by the owner, manager, caretaker, or janitor.
But we already have a permit to do one, so we did it somehow,
Trying to
it's supposed to be in the river overlay.
provide that the
We have a previous approval.
for a house.
Yes. It's on the plot plan right now, matter of fact.
Well, this is talking about an apartment.
Well, he called it an apartment, but you could call it living quarters. So the rule is you're supposed to have 25% of your space dedicated to business. We have actually more than 25%.
I can't remember, I know
Yeah.
that you had an approval for
Yeah.
another building, but
Yeah.
I don't and I didn't.
Yeah, I
have it
think
in
it's
the
a
files.
residence. I think in the river overlay it's allowed, correct?
I don't know.
I know that if you call it a caretaker's apartment, it's not. If you call it a dwelling, it is.
I was trying to find.
So the building that we had approved before was 4,668 feet. And a portion of that was living space. And the other portion was for business.
So there's a provision under special permit for dwellings containing up to 4 dwelling units in one building
Yeah.
for B3.
Is it in the river overlay?
That's just in B3.
Yeah, let's see.
Special permit.
Says restaurants, outdoor recreation, camping, in accordance, athletic entertainment, and other uses deemed by the commission to be water dependent and appropriate for the area. I don't see anything about. This is allowed under this overlay zone and permitted by site plan approval.
It's a special, yeah, it's a approval of site plan, but it's one of those things that go back and forth. Refer to
Yeah.
table 4.1 for types of dwellings allowed in the underlying zone, and that's the thing where it just kind of bounces back and forth, I think, in the regulations.
Yeah, not really sure how that came about. All I know is that we had
The house approved.
yeah,
Yeah, last.
yeah. and we had 5 years to act on it. We just don't see that anything's gonna change in that area as
Yeah.
far as, the historic value of it, so.
Well, I think we're gonna have to talk to Dan about that, just to get a
Yep.
little more
Yeah,
clarification on that anyway.
the direction I was given was to, hear the
Ask-
presentation.
And ask our question.
Ask any questions that we have at this point, and then, due to the fact that this feedback from the engineer was received fairly late in the game, we would need to, allow more time for Dan and Dean to work out any questions or issues that the engineer had, town engineer.
So the biggest item I think that's on there right now was, and Dan and I talked earlier, he was thinking that, what if we have 24 RVs show up? You know, how are you gonna take up the space? That's not what we're
He
anticipating.
wanted you to include that in the drawing. Yeah.
Exactly.
He wants you to have a designated spot for that.
Well, because if you look at the table, it says you're not supposed to use your parking spaces.
Right,
But the way we've been planning all this and the direction we've been going and the approvals that we had was to use the property as it is without trying to manipulate it into something that it's really not. We wanna-
you just don't have, you don't wanna have designated
We
things
just don't wanna
for-
add parking spaces that are, you know, like a camping spot, because truthfully, if we would get one or two here and there, we never want anybody to really stay more than a night. Somebody's driving by, they come in, see the place, enjoy it, take a walk around, you know, maybe go to the drum circle or something, and we want you to leave. I don't like the sight of them, you know, and to start with. So it does bring people to town. People are amazed that they can pull up and sit on this spot and have this beautiful view.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you don't wanna have 48 campers, like people say, well, if I had it, I would jam 48 campers in there. It's not, you know, I think people know what we're doing there, that you know how we feel about it, or what we're trying to prevent. And so, like I did mention to Dan, that in the wording, it doesn't really tell you, I think I need to have it changed to 25 only because, or 24, only because if I go to apply at the health department, that'll straighten that issue out completely.
with the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Correct, so that takes care of that. The other thing is that, I asked the health department, but they're not really the ones that give me the answer. I asked, okay, is it possible to have 10 RV sites and the rest primitive sites, you know, or primitive, you know, and, Dan, not gonna talk for him, but I think he thought it was possible.
Mhm.
So, that is more workable. So we only came up with that just before the meeting, you know, that discussion. So, and he advised me saying, like, don't bring it up tonight but I wanted to hear what people were thinking.
Mhm.
This way here I can address all the issues. I don't wanna come back another night and then say, oh yeah, well if we can just iron it out right away, one thing, and get it done, that's fine.
Mhm.
And, so, we have an area up in the property where, now that we have the building, I sold those trailers. I had storage trailers for my personal items and stuff that I had. So we got rid of those. That area is really was a safety problem in the beginning when we first bought the property, was, all the big rock pile. And we flattened it out and basically made a parking area out of it. But I never put it on the plan as, for any particular job, all right? Because we thought down the road, it could be this, could be that, could be anything else. And I asked him tonight, I says, what do you think if I just said, okay, here's 6 sites right on that flat? You know, it's not my parking spaces, it's not really making
Mhm.
campground spaces, but it's a space where they could park.
Mhm.
So it's additional parking that would accommodate.
That would be counted.
So I would be fine if we wrote it up and said 6 or 8 RV sites, the balance does not tent. And that would be,
Would
that'd be
tho-
more than I would want.
Mhm.
So I think that would be
Would those sites have electric and stuff that they can
No,
The
so we
primitive
have
sites?
power.
No, the RV
Oh,
stuff.
the
Yeah.
RV sites?
So we have power that's presently there that was there before we bought the property.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't energized, but we energized it since. So we have two locations that has power now. That, in one of them, you could probably plug in a couple RVs, maybe three. And the other one, you could plug another. And then we have another, we brought in a big service for the new building that we're not building, down on the other end of the property. So, that power, we plan on, using it underground for different things in the area, for lighting and stuff, but they could park near there. The other thing, we talked about, like food vendors. Well, I found out that we don't really need any paperwork, cause it's private property, so, as long as it's an event, that's what I was told. But at least we have a spot that has power, so if they came in, we wouldn't have to run generators, they could plug right in. That's a perfect spot for them, it's down the end of the, because it's really for the artisan shows. You know, if we have a craft show or something, people would be able to get food.
Right.
And in the past, we didn't do anything about it because we didn't think we were, well, two things. One, I don't want garbage on the property, and two, I didn't think it was legal to do it, so. The biggest thing for us is we're real concerned about trash. So we don't provide any receptacles for trash or anything. Everybody picks up, so it's been good. So knock on wood, since I've been there, we have not had to clean up after anybody.
Wow, that's saying something.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's the kind of
You're
people that
lucky.
you bring in, so.
And I think my concern is, you touched on something when you were saying that you don't want to pack 48 RVs in. But
No.
my understanding is that if we approve something for something, and it goes, you know, to some other ownership.
Correct.
They can do whatever
Correct.
it is that we
Correct.
have approved. So I understand that you want to do it so that you can have flexibility and.
Well, I'm going backwards now, so I'm taking sites away.
Yeah.
So, in reality, like I said, if it was to say I was only gonna have 5, you know, I think being practical, you know, if I had to be like, show that I have enough room for it in that parking area, even 6, you know, I'm sure if 7th showed up, nobody would say anything, but, you know, 6 would be fine. And right now, we have, I think, 4 spots that we rotate for tenting. You know, we have we got this one point, it's called Dean's Point, then we got the New York site, and then we got the Manhattan site, and then we got the waterfall. So when people come, they'll say, I wanna see a sunset, or I wanna see this, or it's gonna rain, I wanna be by the waterfall, so we move them around. So we pick up a picnic table, we put it in its spot, we really design it for when they show up. You know, I walk them around and show them what it looks like, then I move the outhouse in, so they have everything right for what they want. So, even though we have 48 sites, we've never had more than 4 people on the property.
Mhm.
Just one question to help me understand the campsite versus parking question. If somebody shows up with a tow-behind camper, would they require a campsite and a parking spot?
No, that would be considered, because the way we do it now, it's really like a pull-through. Just pull up alongside the edge of the wall, and that's where he would stay.
Okay, I'm just thinking, you know, if they want to unhook and,
Well, they
Yeah.
can unhook and drive away, but there's so much room. When people are staying overnight, there's nobody else there. There's nobody staying, there's nobody,
okay.
people pull in, I think we had people come in at, 2 o'clock in the morning. I've gone to bed with my clothes on, anticipating that somebody's gonna show up late. So, I understand that, like, right now, it's even better because we're going the opposite way. The only reason we're adding the dump out station is prior, we had no sewer. I brought the sewer in from Hubby for Hire, so I paid to come 450 feet up the road, onto our property. So now it's there, and it's just dead-ended for now. Again, when we put the sewer in, we didn't even, we didn't have a building, we didn't have nothing. It was just to get it in there just in case. So now it's there.
Other questions or concerns from commission members?
How many acres is the actual camping site?
The property is 6.5.
6.5. And how much of it is actually suitable for camping?
Well, you can camp just about everywhere along, because if you go off the property, you're in the water.
But
I think, answer your question though, there's a zoning reg says you have to be 100 feet away from the residence.
Mhm.
And on one of those plans, I have a line drawn on there that shows the 100-foot mark. So when we figured the acreage out, it was 4.8 acres, and at the time it was 10 campsites per acre, and now I just looked at, and they changed it, I think, to 15. So we really could have more if you wanted to, but for me to fight for something that I don't want, it's ridiculous.
yeah, that's why I was asking, because, yeah, the regulations say that, the number of camping units that shall be limited to no more than 15 per suitable acre.
Yeah, see, and I think it was 10 before, when I did the math.
So I guess the question I was curious about is more like, what do they consider suitable? So if like, you know, can you
Yeah, we used
running an RV
4.8.
over like the leach field or something? I don't think.
Oh, no, there's no leach field there, yeah.
So, but like, you know, like the septic system or something like that, that's, you know, an area you probably
You're-
don't want an RV parking on.
You're on a rock.
Okay.
It's a rock.
So it's what you're saying is
Ac-
14 acres
So
roughly?
no, we went 4.8 acres was
Oh,
usable
4.8.
space for the figure. So at the time, we used 10 sites per acre, now I think it's 15.
Mhm.
So we really could get more technically, but it's not
But you're only
practical.
asking for 24,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
originally we asked for 48 because that's where we're allowed, and,
Yeah,
you know, we didn't,
just in case.
who cares? You know, we didn't care at the time. And it was really 10 sites at the time, so, but it, actually, it wasn't just 10 sites.
I
That's
think
what we
we
were.
had a conversation about
We
10
did.
sites and RVs.
We did. Matter of
And
fact, I actually
parking.
brought the old map that, we talked about. I don't know if you, wanna just look at this, but, the one map we had, you know, it showed all the sites where they could have been. Anyhow, this particular one that I got now is where I think that you know, it's limited to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got 11 sites on what I see practical for me. With the current use. So the whole objective here, if you wipe out the, don't use the parking spaces, and I guess we can get around that by adding another parking space up on top of the hill, which would be easy. It's really that we don't wanna change the characteristics of the property.
Mhm.
We don't wanna run power down all through for all kinds of sites, we don't wanna run sewer, we don't wanna, it's really designated, I mean, like now we have, I don't know if you guys read about the Peace Path that we put in, the Peace Trail. You know, we have people that travel quite a ways just to come and see that, and, we have a lot of people that come for healing purposes and stuff, and, we have a pretty good following. People drive a couple hours on a Tuesday night to visit the quarry, so we take that as a compliment.
Absolutely.
You should.
Okay, this is a public hearing, so we can now take any questions or comments from members of the public. Either here in the room, or if anyone is in chat who would like to make a comment. No one in chat. Okay, any further questions for commission members? Okay, and we will continue this
Yep.
public hearing until our next meeting, which is December 15th.
Thank you.
The hearing will remain open. Thank you. Okay, then, we'll move on to our regular meeting, and on our agenda is an application for 22-7, 47 Lower Main Street and adjacent town lot, request for site plan modification for 12,560 square foot addition and new parking lot. Application and property of 47 Lower Main and the Town of Portland, LLC, map 19, lots 82 and 83, zone I. We will not be hearing any testimony on this tonight. We will not be taking any action. So this will be addressed at our next meeting on the 15th. Yes.
Do we have a motion to continue that?
No, I don't believe we do.
No, I thought Dan said it.
Sorry,
Those are handouts.
I'm sorry. Let's see. Let me get a motion.
I thought that was the only motion he said he had.
I'm very sorry, yes, we do. Thank you.
Get with Carolyn.
Okay, so we'll back up.
Carolyn's watching you.
Yes, we do need a motion approved to continue the public hearing. So I'll read the motion, and I'll ask for a second, and we'll vote on it. Motion to continue public hearing for application 22-10, 311 Brownstone Avenue. Request for a special permit modification to change approved storage building to public bathrooms and welcome center with small studio living unit. New pump-out station to be installed on site to allow for full-service campground from current use of semi-primitive. Application and property of Dean and Darlene Susi, map 28, lot 54, zone B3/Riverfront Overlay Zone. No reasons given. May I have a second to the motion, please?
Seconded.
And this is Bob, I vote aye. Chantal?
Aye.
Carolyn?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Any opposed? There would be none, so the motion is approved.
I have a question.
Yes.
In the narrative for the motion, Mr. Susi mentioned that her name is Darlene Rice,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and in the motion it says Susi.
Oh, well, it should be Rice.
That's your maiden name.
Hmm.
Well, I
He-
thought
he-
she was going by, he introduced her as
Rice,
Rice.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dawn. And thank you, Carolyn, for keeping me honest.
Boy.
You're very welcome.
Okay, let's see, so application 22-12, we will hear next meeting. Next
So-
site, I'm
Okay,
sorry, go
okay,
ahead.
No, go ahead.
We're just
So-
receiving in that application
Okay.
tonight. Next item to receive in is application 22-13, 69 Marlborough Street, Main Street and Marlborough Street. Request for a special permit modification, application and property of BRT DeMarco PTP LLC, Assessors Map 19, Lot 68, Zone B2. So this will require,
And that's the thing that's this,
okay,
right?
the big package. I have not looked at the package yet, but
One is for Riverview,
it
Oh, one of,
appears.
And
one of
one
them
is
is for, hold on.
Marlborough Street.
Yeah, this, okay, so one of them, this
This-
one
That,
is
so I
for
can see
the,
Rainer Place on the back.
Yep,
right,
that's
and
this
then
one.
this one is for,
Riverview,
For the next one.
for Riverview, 54 Riverview Street.
okay.
Okay, so for application 2213, which is Brainerd Place, I would like to set a public hearing date for 12/15, unless there's any objections to that.
12/15, so the same day as the Penfield Hill?
Correct.
And are we also doing 2211 on that? Application 2211, 47 Lower Main?
Yes, that would be not a public hearing.
Oh, okay,
That is a site plan review
Okay.
only. So the way things are playing out, we would have 3 public hearings on the 15th. 22-06, which is up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any idea what the Brainerd Place modifications
it's right here.
entail? Yeah, I know, we just got them today.
I
but-
thought
Dan?
Dan said he didn't think that it was gonna be,
He said it shouldn't be a big deal. I believe it's something to do with the driveway location for the drive-through, the coffee for Starbucks.
Only reason why I was asking this is that if we're gonna have multiple hearings and we're gonna have a Brainerd Place hearing at the same time, I just,
Right.
wanna see if we can space them out, or if it's not gonna be that big of a deal, or we don't anticipate it being a big deal, then it, obviously it should be fine then, but it's just a concern.
Yep, right. Yeah, based on Dan's comments, brief comments before the meeting, I'd say, why don't we go ahead with that one for 12:15?
Okay.
And then the next application to receive in is application 2214, 54 Riverview Street, request for special permit to construct a 24,000 square foot building with a 5,000 square foot mezzanine office area. Application of PDS Engineering and Construction, property of Burdon Property LLC, map 3, lot 8, zone R10. And this will also require a public hearing. And I'd like to do it on the 15th.
Okay.
Mm,
Should we
year-end.
pack a lunch or?
Dinner, I think. Dinner?
Yeah, we'll just get a pizza from Lili's.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
So we'll move on to old business, and Dan said he has no updates for us on any of these items, as he was out ill for part of the week. That would be our cannabis zoning regulation change, online material repository and training. I know we're continuing to struggle through the learning curve there, and solar regulations, so no new updates on that. For staff report, there was one TCVD review, 236 Main Street, which is new siding. So, this did go to the Lower Connecticut River Valley COG, got reviewed and no issues. So this building is, trying to see which building this is. Not sure exactly what 236 Main is. There should be a picture in here.
Can you look up 236 Main?
Oh, it's the Edward Jones building.
Oh,
So they're gonna put new siding on it. Got approved by the COG. So anybody have questions or comments regarding
No.
this? Okay, we do have a motion, which I will ask Chantel to read.
Motion to approve application for 236 Main Street, request for TCBD approval for replacement of wood shake shingles with new granite clay cedar impressions, and recommended by the TCBD design consultant, application of Maggie Companies and property of 236 Main Street LLC, map 28, lot 30, zone B3/TCVD, building, reasons building repairs to conform to zoning regulations and TCVD requirements.
May I have a second to the motion?
Seconded. Oh,
That we'll give to Carolyn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the motion is approved. Next item is under staff report is a Brainerd Place update, and without Dan being here, there will be none. And same with correspondence, with Dan here, not here, there will be none. So next item is public comment. We'll hear any brief comments from anyone wishing to speak. We have no public here in the room. Anybody on chat? No one on chat. Okay, thank you. Next item would be to approve the minutes from November 17th. And present at that meeting, I'm not finding my minutes. May I?
They're right here.
May I borrow them, please? So, present at that meeting were myself, Rob, Chantel, Carolyn, and Victoria. So, the basics. Any questions or comments on those minutes?
No.
no.
Okay, may I have a motion to approve the minutes, please?
So moved.
In a second?
seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Okay, the minutes are approved, and may I have a motion to adjourn,
So
please?
moved.
And a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.